Hello everybody. Happy June and happy Mercury retrograde. Past couple of days were quite tough, at least for me on my end. I was very kind of foggy and all sort of weird stuff happened to me. Like I found a magpie in the fireplace. She fell for the chimney and she was sitting there. She was not really doing any noise or stuff like that, which was kind of funny because we have a dog, so that could end up really badly. And so I went there and I found her and I was like, wow, well, that's very interesting. One magpie is made unity. And I had a lot of these kind of interactions recently with all sorts of animals, birds, mainly birds, and birds are messengers from the spirit world. So I always kind of found this as a profound interaction, which is really good. Okay, now we have a solo dove there. I can see her on the tree. It's beautiful. It's assisting us today. So the energies were really crazy. The Schumann resonance had blackouts for a couple of days, but what I find out on somebody else was speaking about it, that NASA is doing some maintenance, which is quite interesting. I don't really know what is going on in the news. I don't really watch news, so hard to say, but I felt it in the body, so, and it was not very good. The energies were very intense, and my whole body was in this distress. And I was doing yoga. I'm doing this sequence now for cleaning the nervous system. And the day after, I felt like really, really bad. I felt like I was somebody was beating me with the stick on my back. I was sore, my neck, my chest. That's everything. Like I didn't felt like that for a very long time, for at least 6 months. And so I started to be really suspicious. So that was happening a couple of days now. We've got again the 5D gamma light really hammering us, which is great for those of us who are holding already higher vibration, because otherwise without it, it's kind of difficult to navigate. For me, I suffer the lows all the time. And usually when you have a higher vibration and earth is having the downs and then there is the lowers running the show, then you will suffer, or maybe not, but I feel it like that. So I don't know maybe I would have to be completely unplugged from the matrix, but I do not believe that you actually cannot feel these ups and downs on Schumann resonance, because you're still standing on the plane, on the earth. That's definitely energetically was quite challenging. And now we had the eclipse and the new moon. That was interesting as well. So a lot of you probably quantum leaped. I didn't. I always have these tendencies that if I know about all the astrological happenings, I have a tendency to sabotage myself mostly. So I usually sabotage my growth by eating shit or drinking a wine or abusing the vessel somehow. Yeah, self-sabotage is kind of interesting. I am having that quite a lot, but I'm getting out of it. I can see the underlying issues with the self-sabotage. It's not just a self-worth, it's as well the loneliness. Especially when you're on the spiritual journey, things might get really lonely and you might be disappointed because you expected something happened. So you might temporarily abandon your practices or kind of stop trusting your intuition for a certain period of the time because you don't see the progress. But there is always a progress, always. It's more that you probably you expected it to happen faster, and because that's the human nature, we tend to prefer the instant gratification than going with the like a long-term mastery. Sometimes the self-sabotage is actually good because it's staring in your face afterwards. You just start to be more and more aware of it if you do the self-sabotage, if you sabotage yourself. So yeah, I was thinking to pull up some cards because I did yesterday with some astrologer. Well, I don't really let her do the reading for me. I do the reading for myself, but she usually send me the emails with like pick a card stuff, and I pick a card and I do the reading for myself. So I don't really use her as as the psychic or as the channel. I use my own channel, but it was a really good reading, and I was thinking, wow, like I should offer this one as well to some of you because it's like a catalyst reading. We're gonna be looking on like a solar and a lunar kind of influences, or what the solar and lunar energies are trying to tell you. The solar are gonna be about ending, new beginning, and change, and the lunar is about the shadow work. It's like the obstacles, your advantages, and like possible advice. And I'll be using only the major arcana. I didn't really use these cards a lot, but I did like a couple of times, and I really like it. It's really straightforward, and it's always have a good message. So I'll be doing some readings. If you want a personal one, you can always contact me. You know where to find me. And so let's hop onto it. And also because we've got a Mercury retrograde, this Mercury retrograde is quite challenging us on the communication and as well on the authenticity. It's in Gemini. I don't have anything in Gemini in my natal chart, so I'm kind of fine. I've got a very balanced actually natal chart. I was quite surprised when I got my kind of not a forecast, but just the overall reading of the sign. Okay, we got a hangman, and then we got it upside down. So we got a hangman. That's what is ending. So then I was beginning. Okay, judgment in reverse again, and the change. So that's the solar one. The change. This is a beautiful card. I love this card. So we've got these three cards. So the hangman is as well a sign of the mental and psychological plane, which is really good. Yeah, so what is ending with the hangman is the concentration of oneself, the ego. That's like global. We can say it now. That's practically what is ending. We are going for the egocentric ways of doing things into more like a unity consciousness, and that's what is actually ending. That's a really nice card, and the opposition to the spiritual influences. That's what is ending. We're gonna be operating more from the heart space. We're gonna be more understanding the ego and the intuition and how the ego is important as well, but we're not gonna get rid of it. We're gonna more invite it into our hearts so that they can unite. Like usually balanced person or balanced spiritual being is when the ego is balanced with the spiritual stuff. It needs to be in a balance. You're not getting rid of your ego. That's kind of like misconception. There is this kind of ego death on the spiritual journey, but it's not that the ego dies. It's more that you start to be aware of your higher self more, and you are more working with your higher self, so the ego is constantly being pushed into the back and he's constantly fighting. There will be always this push. You will be experiencing like the force of the ego trying to control the things, because ego likes to control the stuff, but because we are moving into the unknown, we're gonna be more operating really from like from the heart space, of course, but I mean from there will be less control, there will be more space for the creativity and from like the inspired actions. So that's what is ending for sure. And this reading is like until the full moon, which is the 24th. So that's for the collective. That's like, but we see this one, you know, that's practically the ego, that all this year is all about the ego development and communication and cooperation. So that's nothing new. It also says that you might feel that you are sacrificing a great deal of yourself, or it looks like that we are sacrificing of the great deal and you're not getting anything in exchange. You might feel like that the things are standing and not moving anywhere, and they are like in this pause mode. I feel that for sure. And that's as well the Mercury retrograde. We are gonna be a little bit postponed, or we are gonna be, but that's changing and that's gonna be ending. So that's ending and we're gonna be moving forward. In July and August should be better, because then we have another Mercury retrograde in September. So a lot of things, we're gonna have a little break probably. So it's gonna be good to start a new project. And right now we are like on the pause, but this is as well ending. Your ideas are a little bit being postponed, but it's okay, because usually you can gather more data and then you can kind of expand later, and that's as well good to working. I remember that I had somebody made me a reading a while ago, an old friend, and she was telling me that I should work a little bit more with the planetary stuff, and I never really did. I was always more like a channeler, channeling what's coming through. Like I all can read the energies like intuitively. I don't need the cards. I don't usually do the cards much. Not anymore. I used to do it a lot, but not anymore. I don't do cards that much, because I can just read kind of the overall energy or my energy or what's going on. And yeah, that's usually when your higher self is more inside of you, and you're operating more with your higher self, then you don't really need so much guidance from the cards. This suspension what we are in right now, this pause we are in, it is good. It is like a catalyst for a new things coming in. So it will be great if you declutter. Declutter will be great, so you make a space for the new to come, and there will be more new things coming after the summer solstice. It's definitely gonna be energetically easier. So more meditate, more, take this time, because now when the world is going through this kind of like ego death, it will be good that you take the advantage of the Mercury retrograde. Yeah, and focus on your obstacles. I think I posted it as well on Instagram. Focus on your obstacles and like gather all the data together and really spend time to just sit with it and deconstruct it, and just take your time, because this pause is gonna end, I would say, the start of July for sure. And because then when the Mercury retrograde, like I think Mercury goes direct, or I don't know how they call it, somehow like that. Also, there will be a lot of cooperation happening, so don't sabotage that. So what is new beginning is the Judgment in reverse. So this is gonna be a new beginning of a new disillusionment, and a lot of people are still refusing to look at themselves. So it's gonna be a beginning of that in general. People will refuse to see the truth. I think that's already happening a little bit, but that's the new beginning of collectively. A lot of people will most likely not willing to seeing things clearly or look at themselves. Yeah, pay attention to your own self-judgment, because there is a load of people who are newly awakened, there is this period of that you will have to, well, you don't have to, you've got a free will, but you will be asked to look at yourself really deeply and stop judging yourself. I think the self-judgment is just such a thing. I have to say that I never really judged myself. I was always more, like, for me personally, I have been called a judgmental quite a lot, but you know, people who usually call you judgmental feel threatened because they feel judged. If they feel judged, they feel threatened. And if they feel threatened, that means that they still judge themselves, and they as well are refusing look at themselves really like with the open eye, you know. When this card is in reverse, it's as well good to have a look on, to pause, and this is a great time really, like the Hangman, you know, like we are on the pause, it is ending, but it is a really great time to actually use the time of the Mercury retrograde to really look at your life very clearly, and you know, how far did you go, how far already you went, and what you really want, to who you want to be in this lifetime. And then write it down, because I noticed that we can think about it, but when you don't write it down, then you kind of lose your direction quite often. So if you write it down, I wrote this on last post many times, ask yourself, what do you want? What do you want? Forget anything what is external. Forget your whatever realities you have. Forget that. Sit down and really write it down. Sit down, what do you want? Because that's what your inner being wants as well for you, mostly. And because there is some sort of external going on, you can see it and you say, oh, I cannot have it. But the moment you are like thinking that way, then that is what is manifesting for you. So, and we are manifesting very, very fast. So I can say it on myself, the moment when I'm having a negative thought, or I start like banging the drum in my head about like some limitations, that starts manifesting immediately in my experience. It's so fast, so fast. So it'd be great if you take a pause and really look at your life in general. You know, are you, let's say, even in your relationships with the loved ones, you know, do you need them? Do you really want to be with them? Or is it your time to just be more authentic and following more your authentic path and stop limiting yourself as well? I see it like a lot of people take a relationship which is less than what they want because they don't believe they can have it because the person is taken. They think that they want this type of person, but the person is taken, and because the person is taken, they get this limiting belief that if they cannot have this, then they have to go for something less. But your inner being usually have something much better for you in store. And they say, no, you don't need this guy, so you better not to take even this guy because I have this guy for you. You know, so it's or girl. Really sit down and have a look on our lives in general. So far, I'm gonna be doing this because I feel this so strongly past couple of days. We have to move forward with the confidence and a pride, like the pride of like how much work we did on ourselves. Yeah, as well, like stop to paying attention to the things you cannot control and focus on what you can control, because you have a full control over this. So this matters. So more work you're gonna do on yourself, of course, it's gonna reflect in your external reality. So yeah, this card suggests that as well. Yeah, do not let others push you to make certain decisions what you do not want to make. The light is changing quite a lot in here. So it's important you really stay your ground and make the decisions based on your own judgment. As well, the change is inevitable, and if you're gonna be resisting the change, then you will suffer, you will create suffering. Usually you will perpetuate the circumstance you're in or the situation you're in, and you will suffer. You will create a lot of suffering around it. That's definitely for me as well. I need to change. I need to make a major change. So on the change is the star. The change is the star. So we are changing to this. I love this card. It's really, really beautiful. Yeah, it's a kind of like inspiration, the health, the quantum health, I would say, or the health. Yeah, you will have this kind of transcendent way of living. Yeah, this is kind of for me, this what I hear is multidimensionality, you know. Yeah, it's as well a card of like a spirituality, you know. I heard multidimensionality, spirituality, hope, but for me the hope and faith, it's just kind of a funny thing, because if you have a hope and faith, there is an always underlying doubt in it. So knowingness, I would say knowingness. I don't do hope or faith, I do knowingness. Knowingness is like, and really stepping into the creatorship, that's what I hear as well. To being the creator. It's a long way to learn how to really be the creator, how to neutralize certain realities or certain situations you're in. You have to first say thank you and neutralize them, and then you create something else. But for that you will have to do a little bit study of the quantum and law of attraction, how the reality is created, or kind of like the mind magic, how to manipulate the energy. But we are definitely stepping into this is the change card. So the change is gonna be, there's been a lot of awakening. That's what I hear as well. Yeah, the awakening will be probably viral. It's as well a card of courage, inspiration, fulfillment, imagination, creatorship. Yeah, a lot of this is gonna be the change. That's beautiful. Like, we always we are still going towards this as a collective anyway. A lot of things has to change. Education has to change. The way we are living has to change. So the change is inevitable. And that's as well in the judgment card. Like, we have to have a look on our life really, so that this is the beginning. This is leaving us. This is the beginning and this is the change. It's just perfect set of 3 cards, It's really nice to speak about what is going on in the collective in general. So we are stepping into the multidimensionality no matter what. I had my first best friend. She's awake for quite some time. I was waiting for a little while before I start blowing her mind with all the multidimensional stuff. And now we are like on a regular basis talking together, recording each other messages and growing together. I can see how much we grew together, how much she expanded enormously. I shifted her a lot, but she as well helped me to have a look on the certain things I completely forgotten. And that's, let's say, for me, it was the father figure. Oh, I'll tell you this one another time. So new relationships are gonna be more this kind of like the deep soul level relationships are gonna be formed, and you're gonna be very happy. So I think the change is gonna be really, really beautiful. It's all multidimensional change for sure. So we're going there slowly, surely. Actually fast. We're going very fast. The star as well is a card of a personal transformation. So newly awakened ones are gonna be just like rocking the boat now. It's gonna be so cool. It's as well great to starting something new. I am actually thinking about like a new stuff and things like this. I'm more like gathering the information, and it's gonna be a really good time. This is gonna be the change. We're gonna be starting all the new things. A lot of stuff is gonna change. A lot of new things are gonna come into our lives. This card as well speaks about that you are actually making some significant changes already in your life. yeah, renewal, better self-esteem, trust in yourself. This is all gonna be the change that is coming. That's what is in store for us from the sun. Let's have a look on the shadow. I like that one more. Two Dove. She was always alone. Wow. So let's check out the obstacles, what are gonna be shown. And as well, I hear patience. As well, have a patience, because I have to say that. Okay. Ooh, obstacles. The star again. Interesting. So that is gonna be the obstacle as well. The change and the obstacle. Wow. Well, that's interesting. Well, we talked about the star like a while ago, so advantages. Sun in a reverse. And advice. The Chariot in reverse. All right. That's really nice. Okay, so the obstacles are gonna be actually our multidimensionality. And I think, oh my God, and it was that. So it looks like that the star is gonna be as well our obstacle. I have to say that I actually find it quite challenging to being multidimensional and being under this kind of 3D world. I found it very challenging. There is this, I don't know how to unify these two things together. I don't know how to, it's not that I do not know. It's like walking in this old reality when everyone is playing. It is kind of like the old ways of being or doing things or working, and you are walking in it as this gem. And I had this experience. For me, it was really difficult and very challenging. I had this actually experience. I can share this. Maybe that is gonna a little bit bring some light to the topic. I was offered a job here in the town in the alternation service, because the lady bought my sewing machines before I was sewing the bags. I was doing this like one of a kind experimental bags made out of the inner tubes, and they were like all kind of like designer bags. But I'm self-taught. I'm self-taught almost in everything I do. And she bought my sewing machines, and she offered me the job there. And I was like, I was entertaining this idea actually to take there like a couple of days a week just to get out from the house, because I'm constantly in the house and I'm constantly lonely, you know, the loneliness. And I was thinking, oh, it'd be kind of nice to be like between the other people and being like doing something else for change. And as well, you impact so many of the others when you are actually working in a regular 3D job. So I was like, okay, well, let's try it. So I took it. I was there on Monday. That's a couple of days ago, actually. And I soon realized that I'm absolutely not able to work anymore in this type of environment. The gossips, the people coming there for the alternation, like to fixing the dresses and talking bad about the others. I was constantly listening this when I was like shrinking there behind the sewing machine, and and I just fixed a couple of pants, and then I vamoosed and I just canceled it. I said, no, I can't do this. But it was not the work itself. It was, I could not stand anymore to, I saw that I am here and I'm working in here. Impossible for me. Impossible. And like, you know, constantly listening the complaints of like, no, you know, I have to do this job for 20 euro. and then and then because I could read the people, I knew like I could like see more like the thought going further up, because like she takes the making shorter the pants, the person pay tenner, but she still have to pay tenner to the person who is actually shortening up the pants if it takes her an hour to do, because the 10 per hour is a minimum in here. So you could see that she's bringing the money in, and what she does, she just pays the rent, pays her workers, and pay herself maybe. It's just not working as a business properly. And like the amount of the people who were there and the type of the people, old people, smelly people, I saw phenomenal stuff, and I was like, oh my god, like being multidimensional and knowing all those things. And then you were listening them talking about their own limitations constantly, and about the vaccines, and about like all the health issues, and constantly the same kind of a thing, like that, like if you're awake, these talks. And it was very uncomfortable to be there. So I canceled straight afterwards, and I just couldn't even go. I thought first that I'm just gonna help her out a little bit before she find out someone else, because she needed a hand with the orders. But I was thinking, everybody who is working in the regular 3D job deserves like a big low bow, guys. If you're working in a regular job, I honor you. I honor you, because I can't do that. I just can't. I can't do it physically. I can't do it emotionally. I felt so exhausted. I was there 3.5 hours, and I felt mentally drained, because I was constantly observing it and filtering it, like, and looking on the limitations of the human, like, for 3.5 hours, and still dealing like the energy, the energetic exchange. What was happening in this environment was massive, because consider people bring their old clothes to be fixed. They wear the clothes, so all these energies are in the clothes, and I handle the clothes, and then we exchanging the sewing machines to like work on like particular, let's say, pants or this. So you're constantly bumping into someone else's energy field, and it was very difficult for me to stay sovereign. I mean, I didn't really, and the Schumann resonance, the heartbeat of Earth was so low that I thought I'm gonna break apart. But I honestly was sick the day after, physically. I just it was very challenging. So when you become multidimensional, and when you start embracing your multidimensionality, you know that you no longer are able to work in such an environment. And I really needed this experience. I was pulling the cards if to take it. My guys wanted me to take it. I didn't understand why, because they know that I don't want to work that way. I don't want to work. I want to work for myself, and I want to work from home, and I want to be free to work when I want. I need to be flexible, because of I have a 6-year-old daughter, and I don't know if they call me from crash to pick her up and stuff. So I need kind of a different way of working. And I mean, past 10 years, I worked for myself. So I am no longer really, I mean, working the pub is easy, but working in the alternation service, when you have to like measure the people as well, so you are in like a way closer exchange, and as well the environment was the shop was very narrow, so we were constantly bumping into each other, and the work itself was fine, but no, I couldn't do it. I just can't do it. So the obstacle with the card is gonna be as well the obstacle, because the moment you become multidimensional, you will be definitely having there is always this period of the time that you are trying to find your ways how to be in this world with all your psychic gifts and all the, you be scanning the people, reading them, seeing their auras, you name it. You be hearing your guides, you be having the intuition, some sort of hints how to do the things, and then you will be pushed to do the stuff the regular limitation human way. That happened to me as well there. They were showing me how to do the things and I was like, why are you doing it so difficult? And I could see how disorganized the environment was, how cluttered it was. And I was like, being in there would just kill me. So this is gonna be definitely challenging as well for you, like, to implement it somehow in your life. It's not easy. Ascension is not easy. Spiritual journey is not easy. People will think that you're weirdo and things like that. They will ask you such, and you will have your own weird, I want to say opinions. They always say it's just opinions. Perspective. A perspective is different. I don't like opinions. Perspective, So it's not gonna be easy. Yeah, that's gonna be definitely the challenge, the obstacle. The other card we have is a sun in reverse. That's the advantages. As well, the first one I want to mention that I remember I was ashamed of being spiritual from the start. So if you are newly awakened, you might having this kind of a double life a little bit from the start before you just drop it, and you will no longer care what the people thinks about you because you still project them into a reality. So you will understand that there is no need to hide your spirituality. And people have a really wrong idea about what it means to be spiritual. So yeah, I remember I was ashamed. I was hiding it for a long time. And I'm still like, my parents, let's say, doesn't even know anything about me. They don't know any of this. And that's the kind of a thing when I start doing these online readings or channeled messages or just like all what I do, the posting and reading the energies, I notice like a lot of my old friends actually listen what I'm saying, which is interesting. And they slowly awake, which is amazing. But I realized that those who are not on the same frequency, then they will not even see it. So, you don't have to be afraid of practically sharing yourself or sharing your spiritual self. I think that's a big challenge. Tell somebody about the law of attraction. I see it on like on the trolls. If you tell them, but you create your own reality. Yeah. Well, but I noticed that the people just like pause and you will find the good sentences to use in a certain situations in your life and be fully multidimensional and be spiritual and not like hide it. I find those through science because I'm as well interested in science. So I have a lot of information, what I know from the spirituality or from Tantra or from yoga. I have a lot of them backed up by the science as well, because I have been always interested in the neuroscience, in the quantum physics, in how reality is created, or like all the law of attraction. If you study a little bit more of the scientific part of how the reality is created, you will have much more fun, actually, to being spiritual. Because nobody can deny that it's an energy field, that it has an energy field. I always see that. I always ask the person, so what is the life force inside of you? What is it? And the person usually don't know. And when you say it's an energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. So that means there's no such a thing like that. Here you go. And you will find your ways later. So even though it will be an obstacle from the start to being actually multidimensional, it is not easy. Like, you have to just, but more work you do on yourself, more confidence you get, it gets easier, way easier. You will pause. It will pull in higher self to speak through you, and you'll be channeling, and you will have really fun with it. I do that now. I didn't do it before, but I'm doing it very much now. So I am not really surprised what's coming on me when I am in the regular world, But that was definitely experience. The one I had now in the alternation service, that was a good one. So if you work in a regular job, like Lobo, guys, Lobo is not easy. Pour the multidimensionality into them. I always say, we've got a Mercury retrograde, and they're like, what? Just beat the heck out of them. Just put it on them. You will see that the people are not so closed as they look like. So the obstacle, there's no obstacles, It's just challenges. So now what we've got the advantage is the sun in reverse, and sun again is a spiritual and astral plane, and yeah, it's the uncertainty and the future plans. That's nothing new. We're already going through that. But it is advantage, and it's as well disadvantage, because the mind likes to know the things. So you will have to constantly assuring it that your higher self knows what you're doing, because we are gonna be living in this uncertainty. And you will see that even this uncertainty is actually advantage, because I noticed it even on the shop. I was telling her, I'm not flexible. So, if you want me, you have to accept my terms, because I'm not flexible. I don't know if I can come tomorrow. I'll let you know in the evening. People will be like, you will see how things are changing. As you can see, like since the people started working from home, a lot of things changed. There is gonna be some sort of loss of something in value, but that's gonna be advantage as well. Oftentimes we change our values on the spiritual journey. For me, I realized that for me, one of the most valuable thing is clarity, and that helped me a lot on my journey. I prefer truth and clarity. I like the straightforward stuff. And uncertainty, we will have to learn how to embrace it. It is still advantage. On the other hand, you don't have to plan much. You'll be just taking inspired actions. You'll be more present. You will be living more in the now moment. That's what is asked of us. Well, the sun in reverse as well says that it's a temporary depression and lack of success. Usually these things look that they are not actually our advantage, but there is always a lesson in the failure or the lack of success. There is because if there is this kind of a thing happening, then another part of you grows. If we are facing such a thing, if there will be a lack of success, there is gonna be definitely advantage in it. That will definitely, with the first card. Because this is the obstacle and this is the advantage. This card, because it's a temporary depression and lack of success, meaning mostly, then this actually will help you. This will help this. There will be more space to be spiritual. There will be more. You will practically with this temporary depression and lack of success, which we still practically are going through on the lockdown. That created the space for your spiritual self. That created a space to get to know yourself better, to train the ego, to work more with your intuition, to follow more your inspired action, to take yoga classes, to start certain spiritual practices. You create that's temporary depression actually created a space for this to come through. That was as well in the first part of the reading. It will be great because practically what's gonna happen, it's gonna force your spirituality, which is gonna be awakened, and being in the state of like depression or not liking your job or not liking the things what you were doing before, that's gonna force you to change, and that's gonna offer you as well to follow your passion and to find new joy, to find to work on your desires, to what you looked on. You will review your life and you will say, okay, that's it, I'm done, I'm quitting, I want to start something else. The same like what happened for me. Like I took the 3D job for one day just to experience it again, how it is, how it feels like. And because I was entertaining the idea that I could go maybe to work like that again, and I manifested this opportunity, and soon I took it. I realized that no way, because it didn't feel good. And then of course I went through certain like a depression period as well, for the rest of the day, because I was thinking first what I felt was I was blaming myself that I am not capable of working that way. That's a good one. I was blaming myself, you know. Like my ego was doing, oh, you're useless, you're not even able to work in such a job, and ta. And then the others, when I consulted with some other people, they were telling me, yeah, but what you gonna do? Like what the fuck. So usually those periods of great depression are actually advantage. I know it does not look like that way, but it's there for a reason. So if you are in a job which you don't like, you will be forced by your multidimensionality. It will become so stronger that it will be so unbearable for you to actually be in that environment which you don't like, or doing the things you don't like, or being in a relationship you don't like. So that advantage will serve you. We are sort of like directionless because of the uncertainty. I really saw that a lot of people have a challenge with being in this uncertainty because of the lack of direction, because the path is sort of not there. You are on the path, but you might get off course very easily because you're not seeing the end, or you not. That's why it's good to really sit down and think about what you want to experience next, or how you want your life to go now. It's very good to sit down and have this like clear sort of vision, and then not focusing on the very end, but more using it as a direction, but being open for if something new come in, just maybe to say yes and see how it goes, because this is always only temporary, and sun is always a positive card. So even if it's in reverse, I had this, it's like, for me, is it kind of like a what I'm gonna do, I'm not able to function in the 3D plane, and I'm standing on it. What the fuck I'm gonna do? Like, how I'm gonna run the business now, how I'm gonna, that old models don't really work anymore, how I'm gonna live. I have a 6-year-old daughter, and she is in the system because she wants to go to school and she doesn't want to be homeschooled. How I'm gonna do all these things, like, we are constantly facing certain like uncertainty and depression and like a certain downs. We always gonna be going up and down. There will be obstacles, and don't let that discourage you. There is always downs on the journey. Yeah, be careful that you don't beat yourself up, that you are not, let's say, able to function anymore the same way like the majority of the people who are asleep function. Don't beat yourself up. Your life is going to be much richer. It's usually just a temporary place when we are, you have to accept those plateau, I think it's called. Not sure. And then we have a chariot in the reverse, and that's the advice. That's interesting. And there was a death card as well going with it, upward. Lack of control and a direction. But it's okay. You have to accept that. Only ego likes the control. you know. The inner being knows. So I think the advice is to let the control go, like to just be okay with it. Because ego wants to control, you know, inner being knows, it's just moving you. So what you can do is like more often invite your inner being to take over and like guide you instead of like controlling everything. So even though if you feel maybe that you have a very little control over your life, I think this suggests that you should focus on what you can control and stop focusing on what you cannot control. What you can control is this, always. And if your intention is to feel good, then that's all you need. I think that's the best advice I ever got, was focusing constantly on feeling good, constantly, and appreciating things. Because more you do this, more of the same will come to your life. And your life is gonna be easier, even it has ups and downs, and sometimes you have a depression, sometimes you know. Focus on what you can control and stop focusing on what you cannot control. I know it's kind of difficult, but that's where the meditation comes in, you know. It as well suggests that you create a little bit more discipline and focusing really on what you want. I think that there is no other way to be right now anyway, because of the uncertainty. So I would really suggest that we sit down and write it all down. Write down what you really want, what is your joys, passion, what you are passionate about, and meditate, create certain discipline there. Let go of control in general, what you cannot control, and try to focus on what you can control. And yeah, embrace your multidimensionality and embrace the failures as well, and the time of the deep depression as well, because that is always a transformational. The chariot as well suggests that you might be collapsing under this pressure of the uncertainty, and you are as well losing your self-control. So the best thing you can really do right now is focus on yourself and meditate and establish a proper spiritual practices, which that's what you can control. And that is gonna help you anyway with anything you're gonna be doing. Okay, I think that's it. The light is changing so much. All right. Oh, there was as well the death card. Yeah, it's a transformation card, you know. Transformation, transition. So you have to be okay with the not being in control all the time. That's a good reading. It was very similar like to mine. I had a little bit there more about different stuff, but yeah. I hope you had a fun, guys. If you want a personal one, you know where to find me. Okay, so until the 21st, until the 21st, that's a summer solstice, and it's as well the 11th day of the moon, and the 11th day of the moon in yogic science is the day when you can get rid of a subconscious programming. I would definitely suggest everyone to focusing on the limiting beliefs and what you want, and write it down, and meditate, journal, stay put, and don't start anything crazy new. Just like observe, plan, gather the information, get loose and let the control away. Like just control what you can control. This is the only thing you can control. You know, you cannot control the external. Submerge yourself in the spirituality right now until the 21st. It's absolutely perfect. Then you get a full moon. We are still under the pressure of the Mercury retrograde, so it's the best thing you can really do. That's what I'm gonna be doing, and I will be decluttering. I think that's a great thing to do. Completely declutter everything. Whatever you didn't use for more than a year, get rid of it. make a space for new, because the change is inevitable, and you need to create a space for the new to come. Okay? I love you guys. Be good. Schumann resonance a massive peak. I got inspired today. I function better when there are the 5D gamma lights on. So be good and have a good day.